House of the Dragon Episode 5, just another dull wedding in Westeros. And the fans are dubbing this one the Green Wedding. This is the halfway point of the season. It's probably the biggest and most important episode so far. The lines of the factions of the Dance of the Dragons are being drawn. There's a lot to talk about here. But quickly, before we start, if you like what you see here, please consider subscribing and throw a like on the video as well. Really appreciate that. But yes, episode 5, We Light the Way, which of course are the words of House Hightower of Oldtown. And there was so many good performances this episode. Rhaenyra and Daemon as always, but I would say this is Alicent's best episode so far. Her queenly entrance was so sublime, and I just want to give a quick shout out to the costume department. Everyone looks majestic, from the main characters to the wedding guests in the background. And that's what the main plot of this episode is, the wedding of Princess Rhaenyra and Laenor, the son of the Sea Snake, heir to Driftmark. It's all part of Viserys' plan to bring House Velaryon back into the fold after choosing not to marry Laena, strengthen Rhaenyra's claim after last week's scandal. House Velaryon is the richest house with most of the realm's navy, and they have dragons of their own. And we finally get to see Daemon's wife, Rhea Royce, who he names the Bronze Bitch. He loathes this woman, and it seems like their feelings are mutual. The books reported that her death occurred during a hunting accident, but on the show Daemon flat out kills her after she remarks on his inability to finish, and she points out the wedding was never consummated. Women love Daemon. He has the name, the power, the good looks, the dragon and the charm, but when it comes down to it, he's no stud. And I suppose that makes all us guys feel better about ourselves. And I must say, those silent moments where Matt Smith says nothing but does so much are quite fascinating and some of the best parts for the show. We got that in episode 2 during the Battle of the Stepstones, and now the encounter with his wife. Just don't overdo them, don't do them every single episode, don't spoil it. And Daemon's an asshole, but he's just so good. He's been banished twice now, and the second time was his last chance. The king was done with him, but he cannot get rid of his brother. And Daemon has balls of steel, strutting into his niece's wedding after all the allegations. He doesn't rise for the queen, and then proceeds to flirt with Laena, and then dance with Rhaenyra in the middle of the dance floor. And the biggest question is, did they kiss in front of everyone? And I actually really enjoyed how they done this. It was from her father's point of view, and his vision was blocked by the crowd. And that is just a brilliant way to approach it. And Matt Smith is a fine actor. From Doctor Who to The Crown, but Daemon Targaryen is his best performance for me. He's becoming a legend on this show. And I think the scene when his wife's relative comes over and accuses him in front of the king is probably one of the best Daemon moments. Daemon doesn't give a crap, and he actually asks him, "Where's my inheritance? We had no kids. Runestone is mine." Balls of steel on that guy. But as for the king, it's just getting sad now. He's dying. Otto knows it. Rhaenys had the impression. She was totally checking for the rumoured missing fingers when she touched his hand. His death will be the launching point for the dance. Nowadays he spends most of the time being seasick, or spitting up blood, or looking like he's about to keel over any second now, but his legacy will remain, and his legacy is the Dance of Dragons. His children fighting over the Iron Throne. But yes, he travels to Driftmark, the seat of House Velaryon, and it took so much out of him. As I predicted, Corlys makes the most of it. There's no welcoming party, it's only his son and his boyfriend sword fighting, and then his daughter comes to the gate of High Tide. Viserys is totally offended here, but he knows that he's the one that has to make up for it. He has to go to the Driftwood throne and ask the Sea Snake for the marriage. And now Corlys does show respect to his king, the usual protocols are followed, but his wife Rhaenys bursts in looking like she just came back from out riding. No bow, no hello your grace, it's just cousin. The Velaryons know they hold all the power here. We haven't actually seen that much of Rhaenys, the queen that never was, but when she's on screen, you listen. And her marriage of Corlys just seems so warming, they actually do love each other. But we get a bit more insight into their actual relationship. And Corlys is very keen for the marriage. He asks the king what name the children will bear. Will it be their father's name? Will the Velaryons sit on the Iron Throne? When Rhaenyra and Laenor's firstborn becomes either king or queen. And the deal is, they will be born as Velaryons, but when the eldest ascends to the Iron Throne, they will take the Targaryen name. And Corlys is happy with that. His blood will be on the Iron Throne. And he's very bitter that his wife was passed over in the Great Council of 101, and even before that. But Rhaenys, on the other hand, is no fool. She's moved on. She's accepted the realm would never allow her to be the queen. And she's more cautious about marrying Laenor to Rhaenyra. She knows that knives will come out when Viserys dies, and she's worried about putting her son in the firing line. But they do agree to the match, and Laenor's sexuality is brought up, because Laenor is gay, and he has a lover, Joffrey Lonmouth. His mum and dad know about it, so does everyone else. Corlys thinks it's a phase though, but Rhaenys knows her son. She knows it's for life. Rhaenyra and Laenor have a lovely walk on the beach. They're not strangers, they grew up together. They're cousins, how many times removed or whatever. Similar age, they probably spent most of their time discussing dragon riding when they were kids. And they agreed to have an open marriage. They'll have the children perform their duty, keep the peace, but in the free time, they'll sleep with whoever they want. And this sounds alright, it seems like they've made a deal. But Joffrey works out that means Rhaenyra must have a play toy. Sir Criston Cole. He opens his heart to the princess. Let's run off to Essos, let's eat some oranges, give up the crown, let's be together. Nope, Rhaenyra turns him down. She still wants to play behind closed doors, but she's not passing up on her birthright. And this is the beginning of the end of that relationship. Criston Cole feels like crap now. He's been rejected, he feels guilty and dishonoured for breaking his oath. And this is the perfect opportunity for Alicent Hightower to bring him into her corner. Because Alicent questions him on the Rhaenyra and Daemon allegations. And out of nowhere, Cole just admits it was him. He slept with the princess. And this was all started because Lara Strong, Clubfoot, planted seeds of doubt inside Alicent's head by mentioning the fact that Maester brought a very suspicious tea to the princess on behalf of the king, which is basically the Westeros version of Plan B. But I highly doubt she was expecting this confession. But Alicent has become very smart. She doesn't shout off with his head there and then. She's going to keep this one in her back pocket and use it when she needs it. She has to think for herself now, as her father is no longer Hand of the King. He's gone, on his way back to Old Town. There was no grand farewell for the former Hand, just a household guard and his daughter saying goodbye in the rain. Otto does love his daughter, but he was using her as a puppet. But now she has to take charge. Her dad warns her that when Rhaenyra becomes queen, the realm will fight. And this means Alicent's kids, who have a claim to the Iron Throne, will be in danger. So Alicent either has to beg for mercy from her friend, or make Aegon the heir. And Alicent is so done now with Viserys and Rhaenyra. There was something there with Viserys when they done their Valyrian history lessons, when the king was grieving. But now as queen, she knows that she's just a tool for making babies, a prisoner in the king's castle. She hardly flinched when Viserys collapsed in the courtyard. She's becoming so cold to him. And as for Rhaenyra, her best friend, she lied to her. And Otto has planted the seeds inside Alicent's head that when the time comes, the first ruling queen of Westeros will be off with her head and her children's. She's done with all these silver-haired drama queens. Apart from her kids, of course. It's all about them now. And that's what coming in late during the king's speech, wearing the colours of her house, wearing the green, not the red and black, was all about. Because remember, as stated in this episode, green is the colour of the Hightower flame on top of the Hightower when they are going to war. Alicent is going to war. She's very cold to Rhaenyra, just a subtle kiss on Viserys' cheek to remind everyone that she is the queen, and of course she walks over to her uncle, the Lord Hightower, and other members of his house. Her family. This is where her true loyalty lies now. And there were so many good performances this week, but Emily Carey and Millie Alcock were exceptional. And I'm going to miss them, because next episode features a 10-year time skip, and new actors will be taking over. And I wish them all the best. They've got big shoes to fill. But the two younger actresses might be back for season 2. There was rumours about a flashback because of their popularity, but I'm also looking forward to seeing how the more mature people behave in the court. And I guess we'll have to talk about the main event, the wedding feast and the wedding itself. The Green Wedding, as many people are dubbing it. The wedding feast begins with the usual protocols, and everyone looks stunning as expected. We'll get appearances from many noble houses. The Lannisters are there, of course, but they need to come back in 170 years, whatever it is, when Tywin Lannister makes your house relevant. But yes, everyone's having a good time, feasting, drinking, dancing, but Laenor's boyfriend Joffrey works out that the brooding Cole is Rhaenyra's bit on the side. You know my secret, now I know yours. And that's fair enough, that's a big power move, but let's just say Joffrey won't live to regret it. Something was done or said that kicked off a huge brawl, and Cole smashes Joffrey's face in. He pummels him to death in front of everyone. It's chaos and the king has no power to stop it. He ain't Bobby B. In fact, the king faints once again, and Leonor is thrown around trying to save his boyfriend. Rhaenyra's caught up and knocked over, and I loved how the Hand of the King, Lionel Strong, gives his son, Sir Harwin Strong, the signal to go in, get the princess, and show us why he's named Breakbones. He's the hardest man in the realm. He walks into the brawl with ease, takes out a few people, carries the princess off to safety, and I'm sure she'll find that position very comfortable in the future. And I mentioned his brother earlier, but let's talk about Larys Strong, Clubfoot, the little finger Varys kind of character. He gave the queen the information that plants the seeds of doubt about Rhaenyra. And it's not just the Hightowers and the Velaryons that know the Iron Throne will soon be left open. It's time for many families to make friends and allies. And after the king's performance this week, he's never looked weaker, both physically and in his reign. He asks his hand in private what he'll be remembered for. He's no great warrior, he's not had to put anyone down, go to war, he's not had to conquer anybody. He inherited his grandfather's legacy of peace, and he kept it. The hand's like, is that not good enough? But really, Viserys' legacy is the downfall of his house begins with him. His succession and the dance of dragons all starts with him and his death and the choices he made on the way. It truly was an eventful night. The wedding is moved forward and performed hours later with Joffrey's blood still raw on the floor. Emotions are still high, but Viserys wants to get it over and done with before Rhaenyra can do anything else, and her position is questioned even more. And it was so sad. Rhaenyra is still shooken from the brawl, and Leonor is sobbing. He's heartbroken. They make their vows, and all they can do is a little peck on the cheek. It's a very intimate affair, just the necessary people, the main family, and once again the king collapses. And outside, Sir Criston Cole wants to end his life, but Alicent stops him because he's very valuable to her after the information that he disclosed. Perhaps the queen can vouch for him after he murdered a knight during the feast in the throne room. Alicent knows what she's doing now. She's got Cole in her back pocket. And just like in the books, this is when he starts to hate Rhaenyra. One night of passion has brought on so much pain, and we still have so many questions. Did Daemon and Rhaenyra kiss? What started the brawl? Was it something Daemon did, who magically disappeared when the fighting started? Did Joffrey push his luck even more? Was it something Cole done? Who knows? Keeps it true to the source material, being left ambiguous. I think this is one of the best episodes they've done so far. Probably one of the best episodes in all of Game of Thrones. It left us wanting more, and I want you guys to post your thoughts. What the hell happened here? But yes, like I said, next video is going to be my episode 6 trailer breakdown, which features the time skip and a lot of new characters and interesting plot points. But in the meantime, you've got that other trailer video which features scenes from episode 6 and beyond, so you don't want to miss that one, and make sure you subscribe to get everything else in the future. So guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon.